Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house. This time round I'd like to talk about 1995's Castle Freak, co-written and directed by Stuart Gordon, who has brought us such films as Re-Animator, From Beyond, The Pit and the Pendulum and Dagon. And it is produced by Full Moon and Charles Band, who is responsible for the Demonic Toys franchise, Subspecies. So you might be forgiven for thinking going in that you're in for a sort of campy horror comedy fun time that these teams of people have usually brought us. And instead, what Castle Freak is a really quite dark and thoughtful meditation on its themes, married to an exploitation concept. So it really does ask the question, can a film be trashy and classy at the same time? And bizarrely, Castle Freak is both. No surprise perhaps, considering that it started life as a poster. Apparently Charles Band was wont to create posters for prospective movies. So when Stuart Gordon saw the poster and said, "Oh, what's that?" No one else was making it, so Charles Band said, "Well, you can make Castle Freak as long as it's got a castle in it and a freak in it." So what we have is a strange title and a poster that really grabs the attention from the schlock end of horror, but developed out of that poster a really quite thoughtful, but at the same time nasty and very atmospheric story was born. It's such a strange combination. In the film, we follow husband and wife John and Susan Riley and their blind daughter Rebecca after having discovered that John has inherited an Italian castle from an aunt he knew nothing about. And whilst they're staying there for a couple of nights, what they don't realise is someone else is living there and has been living there for a long, long time. The titular Castle Freak, who escapes from his lifelong cell and wreaks bloody havoc. That's not the only secret that unfolds throughout the movie, but that's all of the plot I'm going to tell you, because it's really worth letting the narrative divulge its secrets as and when it wants to. The film stars Stuart Gordon stalwarts Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton as the married couple in roles that you don't normally see them in. This is so fascinating to get to see this small little stable of actors working on real character pieces that don't call for any sort of hamminess or excess that something like the Re-Animator film or From Beyond asks you for. Especially Crampton is playing a very sort of closed in, emotionally locked down character who has been traumatized. Everyone in this film has been traumatized. Jeffrey Combs himself is also trying to keep it together less successfully, so when he cracks, he's able to be a little more expressive and expansive, but Crampton sort of keeps it all centered and controlled in a role that I've never seen her in before. So these actors are getting the chance to possibly play against type and really weave a family drama in and out of this sort of exploitation genre film. It's a story that on the one hand has gory kills and nudity and some really uncomfortable sexual violence, with a family drama that's about secrets and sins and is ultimately about the sins of the father or fathers being visited upon the sons and daughters. The Castle Freak of the title, I won't name the character because that's a spoiler, is a fantastic antagonist. The full body prosthetic makeup you see on him towards the end of the movie is absolutely top notch, but before then he's hidden in a big dust cover that sort of wraps around him, a little like The Mummy, a little like Phantom of the Opera. He's a very compelling character to watch, but a character that, whilst he is the antagonist and this fulfills the sort of monster role in this movie, exactly like the antagonist in a more recent film like Barbarian, is also the victim. The film was actually shot in the castle that Charles Band owned, which is amazing, but taking its cues from a lot of 70s and 80s Italian genre movies, and this is a theme I keep coming round to. If you find a wonderful looking Italian location and just shoot it, you've got money on the screen. And what is potentially a financial limitation with the budget of the movie is made into a strength by having everyone most of the time claustrophobically within the confines of this enormous building that you can just film and film and film and film, and it looks great from every angle. I think perhaps the title, the initial exploitative poster and the sort of shocking and slightly grubby Castle Freak title has stopped the movie being seen by as many people who might watch it had they known that underneath this sort of grimy veneer of B-movie sort of horror exploitation is a story that reveals its secrets in a very, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a very novelistic way, and the themes tie in with all the characters and the character motivations, and there are parallels between the protagonist and the antagonist, thematic parallels as well, historical parallels that all sort of tie together and tell a story that's, in some ways, not to get highfalutin about it, is about the return of the repressed. What was sort of hidden and kept secret and shameful is now let loose, and when the repressed comes to the surface, all hell tends to break loose, and so it does in Castle Freak, a film that's not afraid to take its time to develop its characters and situations. So if you, like me, because of the poster and the title, were expecting a bloodfest from start to finish, you'll be perhaps surprisingly pleased to find a story that is willing to take its time and develop until such a point as it needs to start with the gory stuff and the red stuff, and you get plenty of that as well. So all in all, a strangely sophisticated film with a strangely schlocky title that doesn't seem to go with it, but yet somehow the marriage of the two on this occasion really, really works.
I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.